any formation that's associated with immigrants, asylum seekers, it's always difficult for people because any excuse and the worst can happen to them is made doubly the case, or even 10 times the case, because the people in opposition to the Kurdish solidarity movement, of course, is basically Turkey. And Turkey, as Turkey manages to intimidate almost every single country in the West, everyone, including very, very importantly Britain itself, and some of the British police these days, right now, have been conducting raids in Kurdish communities through in Edinburgh. Anyway, we'll have Rosa on to speak more about it. Rosa Sally. Rosa.
Thank you for that introduction. Thank you, and we forgot that we were from Drumchapel, both of us, so that's great to have. So really, I'm an activist, and I have been since I was 15 years old. I feel like I've been doing activism and raising awareness about issues that many people are not aware of. It's very important in our daily life. And as a Kurdish refugee that came from the Middle East, and I see my people suffering until today, it's very hard to watch the news, and I sometimes just turn off the media and the news and just focus on my life over here and be grateful sometimes, but then I think about it and then I have responsibility for these people that they don't have the same opportunity as I do, and I need to tell their stories and I need to be a voice for these people. So Stephen Smiley, we both met in one of the demonstrations that was at the time Kobani. I'm sure you've heard of Kobani. Was basically it's a city in Syria and Rojava. Many people were not talking about the Kurdish people in Syria, and it was just about Syria, and once Kobani was attacked, the Kurdish forces and the Kurdish women, they got involved, and there was a lot of media around Kobani and the liberation of Kobani and how they basically won against ISIS, and that was, for me, was a historical day, and I was so over the moon, and I was jumping everywhere in my home, in my bed, and it's just, it's amazing, the revolution in Syria, and I will go on into why it's so important, the revolution in Syria. It's not just about Kurdish rights. Of course, Kurdish people have been oppressed for many, many years, and the Kurdish people have been divided by 4 countries. They're in 4 countries. There are 40 million Kurdish people, and they're the largest nation without a state at the moment. They're divided between Turkey, Iraq, Iran, and Syria, and I think for Kurdish people, it's really difficult. Sometimes we are being categorized as Iraqi, as Syrian, as Turkish, or as Iranian, but we're not. We're Kurdish, and I think that is something that it's a big problem. And even in the UK, we've been categorized in these kind of countries. Even when we come as a refugee, we've just been categorized in them. So our discrimination still continues, and I think that is something, a problem. But from the Scottish Solidarity with Kurdistan, and I'm really grateful and honored to be here today, and having that sign over here, this banner, just means everything to me. That's historical by its own, that the Scottish people showing solidarity to the Kurdish people. So thank you so much. That just means everything. The trade union movement have been very supportive of the Kurdish people, and the Durham miners, they demonstrate every year. The theme for the miners' strike was freedom for Öcalan, and you might think, who is Öcalan. Who's Abdullah Öcalan? Abdullah Öcalan is a man who have been fighting for Kurdish people, but not just for Kurdish people, for the revolution and changing people's ideologies. And he's a thinker, he's a philosopher, he's not just a Kurdish right activist. He's an anarchist, he is a person that sees the future. He's against capitalism, he believes in grassroots people coming together. If you want to know more about Abdullah Öcalan, I think you should read more about him and what he's about. But the thing is that Turkey, until today, they have imprisoned Abdullah Öcalan. That's 20 years that he's been imprisoned for speaking his mind, for writing books. That's all he is criminal of. I mean, he is the founder of the Kurdish Workers' Party, that's true. And I hope the police is not here. So, the PKK is, unfortunately, is listed as a terrorist organization. However, the European Court just recently have published that they do not have evidence for the PKK to be listed no longer as a terrorist organization. And I think that's a huge win, you know, at the moment that has been progress. But unfortunately, the UK still has listed the PKK as a terrorist organization. And until today, the Kurdish people have been criminalized by all the European countries, you name it. I mean, Theresa May went to see Donald Trump, then the next thing she did, she went to see Erdogan. So you see how important Erdogan and Turkey is for the strategy of the UK government. They are making billions and billions of pounds, well, a lot of money, in arms trades with Turkey. The human violation in Turkey just is beyond imagination. I mean, half of the population is in prison at the moment. Many politicians, writers, you name it, activists, human rights, lobbyists, they're all imprisoned. And Turkey has a major power in the region. And I think because of being a NATO ally as well, if you ask any questions in the UK government, well, Turkey is our NATO ally. We will raise the human rights violation. We will do that. But I mean, what are they actually doing? They're giving billions of pounds to Turkey. They're not doing anything about it. These are just words. They just mean nothing, really. And many people are not acting against Turkey. And it's the human violation in Turkey. If I talk about what has happened to the cities when they were under curfew, the Kurdish cities were under curfew, that their sons were already killed. They didn't let to see the dead body, the Turkish authorities. I mean, when I saw this video, I wish I had a visual video over here so you could see what this woman was crying. And until today, this haunts me. Because you see the violation, how it is, and bodies being dragged by cars. I mean, you see this violation every day. And Kurdish language, even if you say you're Kurdish, you're just basically, discriminated. You've been isolated. And it's a very, very difficult situation to be in Turkey at the moment, being a Kurd. I mean, the revolution in Rojava, this is in Syria, they're all connected with each other. We can't separate them. Unfortunately, what they're trying to set up in Rojava needs to be supported by the left movement. And I do not see the increase in that. I mean, there needs to be more. I think the difficulty is the uprise of the right wing, probably, in Europe, and it's all together. Maybe that is a problem, and we don't see a lot of solidarity with that kind of left movement in the Middle East. So that's kind of my overview of the situation. But I mean, as a Kurdish Scottish woman, I will try to do everything I can to support the people over there. I mean, also over here, and I think we also have a lot of going on over in Scotland. That's all I think. I can talk about the issues of the Middle East, but if you can support Scottish solidarity with Kurdistan, that would be a huge thing. You can come to our meetings, you can raise awareness, talk to your friend, talk to someone about it, because it's very, very difficult. Sometimes people are talking about Syria and they don't really know about the revolution over there. In the media, they display these kind of, it's a patriarchy, of course, in the Middle East, but you see how the Kurdish movement have kind of opened up. The women are actually leading this revolution, and it's unique by its own, because in the Middle East, women are very oppressed, and women cannot make decisions for themselves, and everything is decided by the man. It's really like a man's model of the way society works. So it's very unique in its own, because the women are making decisions. The women are involved in all of the aspects of sectors, you name it, education, health. The way they've set it up is the way they make decision is commune. They make it in their community. It's kind of equivalent of like community council over here, probably. They make decisions from grassroots. So if you have any questions later on, I'm more than happy to speak to you. But please visit our stall, and if you want to buy books and kind of learn more about it, it's really, we welcome you over there. And know more about freedom of our Orchaland, because this is a big campaign that has been ongoing now for over a year and is being supported by trade union movement. So Unite the Union and GMB and other big trade union movement. So we appreciate your support as well, and thank you so much for listening.